Ooh, wee. We got some sweet, sweet music playing right now. Yeah, yeah. On my left, on your right is the right man right now. Mr. Reds the Colonel. Yo, every time, man, every time. Now, if you're joining us, it's the first time we're doing this. But it's definitely not the first time you see this man right here. When I say worldwide, this man's traveled the world. Performed everywhere. North, east, west, south. The whole shebang bang. Reds, would you like to introduce yourself, tell people what you do?
My name's Colonel Red, and I'm here for good music, love, and good food. It's kind of it, really. That kind of covers the whole spectrum for me. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's really good to be here. I'm in the middle of just putting some new music together, so you guys have called me out here to, like, do you know what I mean? Get busy and share and spread the word. As most artists, really, it doesn't take much. You know, it doesn't take much to get us at the podium. That's the whole point. You know, we love to make music, but we love to socialize. We love to connect the dots.
Talking about music, where did you get started? What's your basis, your foundation, where you start? Because you can hear it in your voice. You got that soul, you got that reggae, you got everything in you. You know what I mean? So let the people know where you started at and how you started. What is your influences, inspirations?
All right then. Marley was my first influence. Yeah. So. And although music has become a force that, you know, had a lot of impact on me, even as a kid, artists like Marley, Fredlocks and Burning Spear, all these cats when I was coming up, these are the guys that kind of inspired me because of, it wasn't just about the music, it was what they was trying to do with music, what they was trying to do to revolutionize themselves, you know.
Saying that as well, like I hear, like a lot of your music, you draw on love, but you also draw on social experiences.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you can see the struggle of the 70s, the 80s, you can hear it there, which I respect a lot. So how do you translate that in your writing your music and just, you know? Are you like living in the past and then bringing it forward, or do the new things, like you must see things come around time and time again?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been around long enough.
I'm not saying it that way.
I've been around long. No, but there's truth to that.
Yeah.
But I think, in honesty, I comment on the things that I feel, and I comment on the things that I see. Not necessarily in that order, but a lot of the times, you know, if I'm touched enough or I'm going through something enough, that is like the perfect opportunity to reflect and use music as an opportunity to share that experience. So, and in all fairness, and I don't want to leave this out right from the beginning, but because my life's been about black and white, you know, my father being from Jamaica and my mother being English, so everything that's going on with me already starts with conflict. You know, because we're trying to work ourselves out, we're trying to, you know, respond to the experiences of our parents, the experiences of, in school, with you know, with some kind of positive reaction, you know. So that's the starting point for me every time. Every time it's like I don't get an opportunity coming from a black and white world. I don't get the opportunity to take anything for granted. So music is the same thing for me, and why I loved Marley and people like Marley when I was coming up. But then as I got older, I started to listen to people like Prince, you know, and it was the same thing, you know, a tension coming from two worlds, trying to make sense. Doesn't mean that you had choices to make. I probably thought that then. I think you're more likely, you just feel that you need to have an opinion that, like many of us, needs to marry with our friends, with our community, because we're trying to impress each other, you know, we're trying to give each other a chance to, you know, big it up, you know, and that's very normal.
It's inspirational as well, you know. It inspires people all the way around.
Yeah.
And I kind of jumping forward a bit, a crazy breed, because I know that I love that. What's the inspiration for Crazy Breed? Is that like part of it, or?
Crazy Breed, I mean, again, like many of the monikers that I work under, they're usually creations of mine. And Crazy Breed was largely named the way it was because two of us got together. Now the other guy is a guy named Raul Guilmero, but Cone. And now Cone, like myself, come from two worlds. His father is Indian and his mother is Suriname. So my father being Jamaican and my mother being white, his parentage being Suriname, Indian, and we was talking about like a lot of my family are from Cuba, Syria. So by the time we start talking about all these different nationalities, and we're getting crazy in the studio, it isn't long before we realize, you know, as you do, you know, the music, where's this music coming from, man? Because we're reaching each other, we're, like you said earlier, you know, we're inspiring each other. And because we're inspiring each other, we start realizing this is a breed thing, you know, this is... So we naturally, it was a natural progression to call the album, well, call what we were doing Crazy Breed, you know, because it was the genetics of the music coming from two geezers who had never seen each other before. We got in the mix and we didn't know what to expect. And what came out of it was a lot of fun, a lot of love. I've got to be honest, working on the Crazy Breed album, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because I don't talk too much about the Crazy Breed album. I think it's because it kind of found its own place to sleep, which is a lot of the projects I've worked on. They don't get a chance to get the full, you know, recognition that I think they should. And
honestly, I couldn't believe, I was going to say again, sorry to stop you.
No,
when I saw this man's back catalogue, I was just scrolling, I was scrolling, good music all the way, and then find out you produce yourself as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And you, jazz musician.
Yeah,
your bassist and like it, you know. I can't believe it.
I mean, I
can because I can hear it.
I mean, it's a bit of a bold statement to say that you're a jazz musician, but I think when I say that my roots are steeped in jazz and reggae and soul, it's largely because, you know, when we were coming up, you had to choose a particular or a specific type of music to learn standards from, you know. So
it was like
hey, and also, you see, Birmingham is a reggae rock city, right? You got it's rock and it's reggae, and that's kind of its fundamental. But over the time, finding jazz in Birmingham was considered to be quite a dainty affair. You know, if you find people on the jazz scene, it was like, oh man, come on, man up. You know, people didn't think, but really it was just art taking us over, the opportunity to become a little bit more creatively free. We didn't realize that then, because me and my brother, to be fair, somewhere in the middle of all that jazz and that rock and that reggae, we found funk. And we are funksters, man. And Romilly Brothers, and I say this about my brother as well, because, you know, anybody who knew us around the scene at that time, you know, knew Colton. If there was Colton, there was Nicky, and Nicky and Colton, we was always like inseparable almost. People even thought we were twins.
That's blessed.
And we played music together, and we built bands together, and we socialized together, and we danced together, and we taught and inspired each other, you know. And I will never ever leave apart that has been the foundation of me moving forward in this music game, really. Do you know what I mean?
That brings us on nicely to something else. Like I know, like as a man from Birmingham, and you know a lot of Birmingham producers, artists all over the world, they've had to leave Birmingham to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And like I know you've travelled a long way. You know, how do you? Is there a way around that? Do you think for artists in the city? Because we do produce a lot of good artists.
Absolutely.
A lot of talent, people like yourself. This is going back years now, all the way through.
Yeah.
You know, we've done it. You've done it. You've represented us. But how are people going to represent themselves and come together and, you know, make something?
I mean,
happen?
I have to cut you. It's a beautiful thing that you say that it's nice that you represent us. We you know, you're a big man out there. And I can be honest with you, that Byron, that's a big part of why I know, for me personally, I've been doing this, because before it becomes about music and it becomes about, you know, what influenced us, it's about peer pressure. It's about wanting to be someone. It's about, you know, where do we where can we become great? You know, what makes us feel special? You know, how can we make our lives turn into something that we can say, man, that makes me feel good when I see myself. And hearing you say that is more rewarding than any of the dollars, any of the cars and the houses and the things that I've seen and enjoyed along the way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I just want to say that, put that out there, because I think we all get started doing something that we believe is going to help us to shine. And that's why I do this. I do it to shine, man. It's do you know what I mean?
You shine, man. You're shining. Trust me, you're shining for real. So, talking about shining, where was the first moment where you knew you was onto something big like it? Was it in this country? Was it in abroad, America, or is it?
The first time it clicked for us, we had attention for some of the work we were doing from some of these London cats that were coming up on the motorway to see us. And ironically, one of the guys that came to see me was a guy named Darkest Bees, and Darkest Bees went on to be the main guy who put Amy Winehouse on the map.
No way, seriously.
These were the people that I was, mixing with, and they recognised something in myself that they felt that could go further. And so they invited me down to the studios. I started to record in something they call the Green Room. And the Green Room is where like Marley, Grace Jones, U2, even the Christians. I don't know if you remember the Christians.
Of course I do, but you can feel just those names, that list names, as pure inspiration straight away.
Absolutely.
In the walls, you know.
Well, the Green Room in Island Records in London, the Green Room is where they pretty much demo everybody who is getting started, in music. They'll always have to do a term in the Green Room, and if they can pass the Green Room test, then the world's their oyster, And we were fortunate to work in the Green Room for several days, just demoing. But unfortunately, Darkest Bees kind of got axed, as A&R men often do. And but what he did, because he believed in us so much, right? He went, because I think his girl at that time was working for a label called Big Life. Now, Big Life was run by Jazz Summers. Jazz Summers was the husband of Yaz Summers. I don't know if you ever remember Yaz. She had a big hit with The Only Ways Up.
Of course I remember Yaz, every time, Yaz.
Well, so we were, although we were falling down on one side of the city, we was uprising on the other side, So we got invited to work with Big Life, and against Jazz Summers' instincts, they put me with a guy named Robin Smith, and that's where things took a turn, because Robin Smith was like an incredible writer who was working with a crew actually at that time called Nomad Soul. But Nomad Soul was Howie and Dobie. These cats, they're kind of big DJs now, but at that time they're kind of deeped into the hip hop and soul. They was all a part of the kind of soul to soul at that time.
Yeah.
So we were kind of walking into these studio doors, and the people that were working in these studios were like big cats who were making great music, but we didn't know. We was like, oh, soul to soul, oh yeah. We'd be like, soul to soul. we didn't really know, only through working with so many different people we started to, and we was, that introduction was made.
Yeah.
And that introduction, we didn't know was going to take us to the States to sign to Atlantic Records. So.
Atlantic Records.
Yeah.
Atlantic Records, that's unreal. So when you went there, what was the feeling like, just to, as a Birmingham man, going to London, and next thing you know, you're in America?
I mean, you couldn't put it any clearer than that. I remember clearly, right, one day, I think it was on a Tuesday, we were on the 11 bus going to our studio, which was our studios down in Westminster Road. And like a week following, we was on a flight to Los Angeles. We actually recorded our first album with Atlantic East West, and we started to record in the Garden Studio, which is in Beverly Hills. It's the same studio that Earth, Wind and Fire recorded all their shit. So
That's just amazing.
But you see, we were very fortunate because this is the beauty about affiliation when it's working in a positive way. You know, as my label, Increbellion, we always have our discussions, and in our discussions we talk about exponential mentalities, wealth. We also talk about, you know, I think Cleo, my assistant, who's incredible, she pointed out to me, remember that your network is your net worth. It's very important stuff you get to learn along the way, and I can see how much there's truth to that, because when I go back to when we went to the States, it was purely on talent and affiliation. Without the talent, the affiliation wouldn't have had any value, and without the affiliation, the talent wouldn't have had any value. The two have to be working congruently together.
Yeah,
man.
And they grow.
Yeah,
and they grow into, you know.
Well, we started to embark on what was going to be the Changes album, which was the first. We've actually got a cut on the music that you've got. If you want to take a break and play this, one of the tracks that we used as a cover, I kind of. There's two tracks actually. There's "Felt Your Love Before," which shows you the kind of glamour and class of the sound, and then this other track that I'm talking to you about kind of tells you what we were like in our raw creative. So it's up to you which one you want to.
Yeah, we gotta have some of that. Yeah. We gotta get some of that.
Felt Your Love might give you an idea of the sound of Pride and Politics, so, you know. All right. If you knew what I had to do to get this hat. But I can definitely point out to where you can get it from. Of course he was, man.
Yes, definitely send a big out to Luke, EVM128. If you don't know who he is, you will know. Selector.
Felt Your Love Before.
Felt Your Love Before.
Yeah, kind of really to give you an idea of, I suppose, the reason why I track selected, because you asked me to. I just want to let the people know, because we talked before this. This isn't staged, but you asked me.
As you can tell by me getting up and picking up tunes.
It's all right, man. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, we could call you like Fresh Meat or something like that. Should go easy on the meat, yeah. But no, but the thing is, I thought about the track selection, and I started to think about time traveling and how, although the atmosphere of where I started was so different to where it's ended up, yet they're so intertwined, and I think this track from Pride and Politics kind of says that. They came at our studio. They'd just come out of Michael Jackson's studio. So these guys are the same cats who did all the horn arrangements for Earth, Wind & Fire, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and we had them in the studio. Now, you have to appreciate it. I'm going to remind you again, we just got up the 11 bus. So like, we're getting off the 11 bus here. Now we're in the studio, Jerry A. And we're like, yeah, man, walk on, Jerry. It's like, what do you say to Jerry A? Really, for us, because we were students to music more than anything else, we were meeting people and who inspired us and influenced us musically. And we were still studying them. It wasn't like we studied them as kids and then we seen them when we got older and we thought, oh, we're mad fans. We were still discovering them. So for us, it was like very surreal, very almost unbelievable. You know? But it had everything to do with, you know, what we poured into this album at that time.
Amazing. Still gobsmacked by that horn section. Like you can hear it as well. You can just hear it recorded, and it's just
But you see, the thing is, right, these are the days where we were using proper studios. We finished in this particular studio, and it was time for us to mix it down. So where did we end up? At Ray Parker Jr. studio. Why not? You know what I mean? It's like, to us, it's like, oh, Ray Parker, oh yeah, come on, it's like, you know, for us, it was just absolutely natural that we were going from one place to the next. And it was just starstruck. And the joke is, imagine Ray Parker Jr. He's done so much for music, and he's done Ghostbusters, and he's done Watching You, and he's done so much for popular music and soul music. But then, like many of us, he's in his studio, and we're sitting outside in the car, and who comes running out of the studio to come and check what he's doing in the studio in his car? Ray Parker Jr. Do you know what I mean? So as much as we're all got this idea about how things change when we become successful and we're doing things with all this high tech and we're in multi-million-pound, you know, studio suites, you know, we're still doing things the same way as you would if you was like ghetto. Do you know what I mean? Because we were doing that in our studio for, but you don't do that when you're that successful. You know, you've got everything you need. But he would swear by, he said to us, he was laughing because he said, like, no matter how much you make music in the studio, listening to your music in the car is still the best reference point. So little gems like that we've learned along the way that have kept us grounded, I think. Me in particular, because there wasn't an us after a while, because this period in our life with Pride and Politics come to an end, and I came back to Birmingham, where I started to make music with more of an underground nature, because this was us trying to break through into the commercial market, to be honest.
So what was going on in England back then that brought you back and made you, you know, create even more?
Well, I came back through default, so I'm not going to pretend that I came back with some plan, because basically, you know, the plan let me go and kind of forced me to come back to England to say, okay. And you know what? I put my hands up. You know, I was hurt at the time. You know, it was quite it had impact. It was a blow, but I was strong enough to say, okay, you know what? We've had a great experience here. Let's build on it. So I started to work with some crews, and what was actually happening then, the whole acid jazz and acid house was really it had already kicked in, but it was becoming even more present, and rave had started to kick in and alter the tempo. So now you got, like, you know what I mean, you got some of the same music, but the tempos had been pushed from like 121, 122 to 128. 130 and 135, and 135 was kind of jungle. So I was open to this, to be fair. I didn't, because I've come from a school of like soul and jazz, I didn't kind of shun the whole rave thing. In fact, I started to rave because I needed to understand, why is everybody facing the same way? No, you know, because like for me, we come from a time where we dance and you know, like at Rock Up, you know, we dance, but we dance opposite each other, and you know, we share the space between us. But raving is like, march all ahead. We're marching into the future, boy. and so rave had some impact on me because it gave me an opportunity to turn away from a partner or being so personal about the music, and become more generical about the music and start to share it, to share the experience, because everybody was responding to the beat and wanted to kind of get lifted. Don't get me wrong, I know drugs impacted this too, and I had my moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we all do.
Of course.
Maybe not quite.
Some of us shouldn't, you know. But in having said that, I think it was important for me personally to just be a punter instead of be the guy who's on the stage and presenting the music, you know.
Yeah, you still drawing that musical reference, so like so many reference points is in people's lives. You've been there as a performer.
Yeah.
Now on the other side, but you can still hear all these references in your music now, and that's an amazing thing. Yeah. You really can.
Yeah.
And that's like,
that's good to know. Yeah. I don't. You see, I don't know. I mean, funnily enough, you was playing a track of mine when we first came into the studio. When you sparked up, you started playing Wireless Soldiers. Now, I mean, fast forward to now.
But that's
I don't mind. We don't mind if it's just random. Like we ain't got this kind of plan of like 1983
history lesson.
No, I mean, Wireless Soldiers is kind of ticking on where I'm at now. Post soul, post rock, post funk, post broken. You know, I've become a part of the broken scene, which, to be fair, broken has its place with people. I don't believe there's a broken scene as much, in my opinion, as much as broken has found its listeners. Do you know what I mean? And I think that people, you've either took broken into your heart, do you know what I mean? And you experience broken because it's got that Latin, it's got that jazz, it's got that old funk and house and garage. It's got everything in there to make you, to touch you in a way that maybe house music or other music doesn't. But with the broken thing, for me, it was an opportunity for me to jump back in the ring with a lot of different artists and musicians and producers, and reinvent myself and come back with a vengeance, because I had a period in my life coming up to the turn of the millennium where everything stopped, you know, and I'd had a good 10 years of pushing and fighting, having great things and great opportunities happen. And I got to a place where we all do, where, you know, like I said, the clock stopped, and I had to sort of take a step back. I never let go of being creative, but I did start to consider, do I want to continue? If I do, how do I want to do this? And so it was a time of transition for me. That was around about 99, 2000, and I started to set my studio called Tribal Rhymes, and that's where I kind of give birth to, right, whatever comes, let that decide. Do you know what I mean? And that's really what happened, and that's where I give birth to Colonel Red, because before Colonel Red I was Nicky Romelli. So yeah.
And how did like the we love broken beats here. This is our thing.
Don't know.
And for the love you get every time you perform, whether it's singing on the mic, whatever you do, it's bare love. But how did they?
Thank you, man. Blessed for that.
Did they approach you? Did you approach them? Like people like Bugs, you've worked with everyone on the broken scene. Everyone.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whore that I am. Sorry about that. Sorry, Mum. But the truth is that I found a lot of solace in when I was reinventing myself. I was shrewd enough, although I was saying, like, I don't know what I want to do, I don't know which direction I want to go in, but I was shrewd enough to stay in touch with the people I needed to stay in touch with. Paul Martin happened to be one of them. Paul Martin's probably a name that you should hear if you're not hearing, because he is, alongside of Giles Peterson and Norman Jay, one of the main driving forces as to what's actually brought broken to us. When I say broken, I mean in the form of neo soul, new jazz, because Talking Loud, which is Giles Peterson's former label, was run by Paul Martin, Giles Peterson, Norman Jay. They kind of all pretty much brought this whole new wave of dance music / cultivated music, great music, not just music just to dance to, but great music to dance to. and they're very much the pioneers of a revolution of music that we got. And I became good friends with Paul Martin over the years because of my affiliations. And I was shrewd enough to, fortunately, reconnect with him. He's always been a fan of what I'm doing. He always loved my voice. He always, loved what I stood for, on a very social level. So he kind of invited me to come and work on an album called Beatless. I don't know if you know this album. Yeah, but this album it was a project he was working on with Alex Atias, and Alex Atias and Paul Martin were doing this album for Ubiquity at the time, I think it was.
Big label as well. That's some loads of music on that label.
And they were a San Francisco based label, and that kind of was in 2000, 2001. I started working on that project, and there was people like Vanessa Freeman, Mark de Clive Lowe, a few others. I don't want to miss anyone out, but there was quite a few people involved in that project. And that by working on that album, it brought me into the London scene, right into the centre of it, which was Goya Music, where you're talking about a building where there was Goya Distribution, which is Mike Slocum and a few other cats. Then you've got Bugs in the Attic, were up the corridor in their studio, which was Daz IQ, which was Arin, Kaidi, and a guy named Mickey General at the time. I don't think he's with them anymore. He'd stopped being with them after a while. And then you had IG Culture, was in a studio opposite Sweet Abraham, then Alex Atias, and you're like, I mean, everyone there was to be. Not far away as well, I got invited over to to Dulles Road, which was Four Heroes Studio.
Wow.
So it never stopped, I mean, I never stopped working with every cat. And because I was starting to sing and we got love straight away, I was invited quite naturally. You're meeting people in the corridor and it's like, man, I want you to come and sing on this. And I'd hear a track. And the thing about me, right, to be honest, B, is that the whore is, I really was serious when I said the whore part. Because if I hear a piece of music, I'm off,
That's interesting seeing, like, how do you feel about where they took your voice and how they took your voice and changed,
it's really crazy. Working with the likes of IG Culture and Arin, Daz IQ, these guys are relentless because they're not just producers in the sense where they get great results because they produce great music, because they are listening to great music. When you're in those studios, you can see why they make great music, because they've got it's not so much the equipment, the things that they're using, the state of the arts, programs they're using, that's important, but that's nowhere near as important as what they're listening, what they're inspired by. IG Culture often listens to music that I rarely hear people listen to, speeches, poetry, things that, but then it inspires conversation, and the conversation inspires music. It's never just about let's put a beat together. Often it's conversation, it's nice. Social comment that often brings the inspiration, and
Can we get some of that bugs going on? Or some broken reds going on? Without that, we need some of that in the background right now.
Yeah, man.
Just to let people hear, like, obviously people
please,
will know,
please. Yeah, you don't need to be just listening to me. Don't take my word for it, basically, just,
I appreciate that music as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can have it playing in the background and just,
Yeah.
But I didn't know, you're like a fountain of knowledge, man. Musical knowledge, like everything you've seen, but, you see people read about it, but you've experienced it.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's the key as well. And you can just draw upon that.
I think, what's clear about most of these people is that, they are great producers, but they were free thinking. They were taken from the likes of Lonnie Liston Smith. This cat, I always forget his name, man. Just some of the greats, what's the guy that Bruce Q's always, Roy Ayers.
Ah, right, yeah.
There's a few others that they've got techniques that they would use in the studio that I'd never used before.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Alex Atias was the first person. He got me recording some stuff on the mic that I'm like, are you fucking serious? Sorry to swear.
No, you're allowed to swear, man.
But are you serious? You got me making kind of like quack, animal jungle noises.
Yeah.
But hey, when it comes out the other end, I mean, you know, it's some of this stuff sounds amazing. I think what they did for me is give me an opportunity to reinvent and be open to explore and experiment, you know, and that I took back with me. You know, in the same way when I worked with Robin when we did Pride and Politics, you know, he taught me so much about melody and about how to assemble chordal melody and choir melody and gospel and putting it and rooting it. And then I get with these guys and they completely say, okay, you see all of that shit that you learnt, forget that. Do you know what I mean? Let's get into, you know, assembling all types of colours and and I'm coming out of the cans and I'm like, well, I didn't understand it when we was doing it. Yeah. But I'm listening to it now and I understand it, but I didn't understand it when we were doing it. And when you come away from studio sessions like that and you listen to the results and then you see people getting excited and they talk about it like they were there. And you just think, this is touching. And I took a lot of those experiences back into my own studio and started to develop. That taught me and how to be in the studio, but also what to look for. So my example is, I don't know if you know my song Blue Eye Black.
Of course.
Well, Blue Eye Black, funnily enough, was totally inspired by Digo and Future Rage.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's nothing like it. So you know, no one can make the connection. But you know what it was? It was the fact that, like,
you know that.
And you see, when you got me in that space, I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? So, like,
that's a real Birmingham man right there.
Absolutely. But you see, the thing is, like, for instance, just on that level of beat, if you're in a studio where that is important, got you never did leaks and nothing. So when you're
Red's there every time.
So love. But the thing is, right, that is very close to how it feels to making music in the beginning, but rarely do you achieve that or accomplish that once you're going through the music, because you come out the other end and you think, man, at some point we started and we all felt that feeling and we went to church with it, you know, but we come out the other end and like something tamed it, something controlled it, something sat on it, and we came out with a great result, but it wasn't the result that we really was getting. And what I learned in the kind of broken arena is, that feeling that you get into it with is it gets magnified, and you come out with an even bigger feeling, because the key in broken is to keep it free, whereas most music and what musicians learn is how to condense things so that it becomes controlled. And that's why you end up needing great musicians, when really in a of course you need great musicians, but if you're in a broken studio, more often than not, you just need people who feel great. You know, there's a difference, and you know, that's why when you listen to broken music, that's why it's got everybody on fire. It's got everybody on fire because the people were on fire in the studio. You know, they're sharing that feeling is contagious, which would have been what. Sorry. Yeah, man. Yeah. Lucky that. Yeah, the Bugs mix. This is Arin at work. This is, you know that.
Arin for real.
Yeah, man. Arin got a hold of this after we did this tune with Daz.
Yeah.
And Daz's version is beautiful, but it got to Arin. It depends, you see, because you never ever know with the Bugs who's in the studio at the same time. They're all crazy, so it don't make any difference, right? And I've worked with pretty much all of them, but as soon as Kaidi comes in, it's upside down.
You can hear
by
it.
the time,
Hear it.
Yeah.
And that is just.
Who is a Birmingham man too.
I've heard, you know.
Yeah. He comes from a place.
He's hiding it. Nah, he's not hiding it. He's proud of it.
No, of course he's well proud, man.
Yeah, and he's a talent. Talent and a half, man.
So this is the original stamp, yeah? Soon comes, because this is old to you guys, really, isn't it?
It's not age for us, I'm telling you.
No?
It's not age for us. Like, in 2000 is when I first started getting this to my bro.
Okay.
I can still play this now. I used to play it back then. I love it.
Yeah, this was done with Daz Studio. I can't remember which studio, but I did it with Daz originally, and then Orange Studio Box was down the corridor from the Goya office. So you hit the Goya office, and then you're like, come out and go right. Well, usually it's time to go on, but it was never time to go on. You know, you end up walking into whoever's around, whoever's in. You know what I mean? Like your guys are here.
Try to take one of mine, then leave you big. I can't lie when I say I'm gone, can take you there. That look in your eye is the look that has changed my place. I can't stand to watch what we have just fade away.
Check. Okay, I'm sure you know Ken's by now. He's going to take over for a little while, asking some questions to the one and only, the Colonel, Reds.
How's
it going, man?
I got caught because I'm now catching this show on this, so let me just put this down because that's naughty of me, yeah?
So good, man. So good.
Oop.
So we're talking about
Ooh,
bugs and broken.
How you doing, man? Good, man. Always seeing you around, man. This is the first time I'm actually getting to speak to
Normally
you.
the music's too loud to have actual chat, isn't it?
You know what? That's a common thing we always talk about, me and my crew. We actually come out to dance. It's very difficult to hold a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, if you've come out to just basically let off. So, yeah.
So good, man. But it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Man. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming down. Thanks for everyone watching so far as well. If you've got any questions, send us a message. We'll do what we can. I know EVM wants the hat, but anyone else, feel free to chip in. But yeah, we're just happy listening to you talking, man. I mean,
Cool.
it's an insight into your life and your history, and tell us some more.
Thank you. It's I mean, it's nice that people are interested, because I think you get to a place where whatever becomes normal for you, you do kind of turn around and go, you know, what's the big deal? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But then talking about some of these experiences, I mean, I feel like, am I missing something? I do feel like, as a musician, I've gone through different stages, like with Robin Smith, Pride and Politics, that particular era. We worked together for quite a few years, and I feel like I learned a lot about how to write songs. You know, I started to work with a crew that was on the underground, and I think that period of my life, I started to learn about production. And then when I got into the Broken thing, which would happened by accident, really, by sheer accident, if there is any accidents, I feel like I started to learn about how to finally become an artist and put it all together.
Yeah.
So coming to you guys now, and even listening to Soon Come was actually recorded in 2006, you know, along with It'll Be Alright. Tracks that I think I've served up to. You've got them on that USB B. It's Gonna Be Alright, Soon Come, Victim, Feel the Rush. These were like songs that the songs started to leave their song format and started to become as free and as an explorative as the attitude we were using to make them. You know, and that's what I've enjoyed and enjoying now, just listening to, you know, us break it down.
Definitely, man. Yeah. Have we got another one queued up we can listen to? Go for
Ooh. Dangerous tune.
These are still doing damage now, you know. It's 11, 12.
Yeah, this
later.
would have been 2006, about 2006 or 7. Yeah. Absolutely.
Big up
Ceramic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ceramic, T-Roy, all the Broadside crew, really. I mean, I recorded it with T-Roy, and then Magic is a kind of cat where he's very specific about what he likes. So he loved the tune, but he said, but you got to come back in the studio with me, you know, to push this to where we need to push it. So Ceramic and I went back in the studio, in his studio, and then we pushed it further. And they're a bunch of guys, man. Yeah. You see, there's something important about being on the precipice, and I think that's what Broken represents. You know, when it's like this, it's the precipice of something. So there's no finality. There's no real set barometer or gauge. You just let go, and I suppose you have to have a certain amount of qualifications. It's a bit like getting on the ice. You know, if you can't ice skate, you're going to end up in the middle or on your back. You know.
Yeah.
But I think Broken's the same thing. You know, you've got to have a certain amount of qualifications to get in to the studio and let go. You know, because it's otherwise you're left guessing. But what comes out is a nice surprise to you, because most people I work with, they didn't know what to expect. They just kind of had a feeling that it would be good, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful about this particular journey between 2002-3 right through to about 2008-9, where I think for me, I think only I didn't know at the time, but it was already starting to change and become something else. And I think, you know, as an artist, you have to kind of say, do I want to keep on, you know, beating this thing up, or do I want to try out something new?
It's definitely when you get that many people all on the same level, singing on the same sort of hymn sheet, but coming at it from different angles. It's exciting, you know, just to get in the studio.
You know, you've said something there, because to be honest with you, like, I remember listening to other artists, and this is what's inspiring, like Eska. Eska was always someone for me to listen to, and I'd be thinking, where does her songs come from? I could tell when she'd been in the studio with IG, because IG, I know, IG is the kind of producer that no matter how good you thought he was, he'll push for better. And I like that. I like that he's got his foot on the back of your neck, and that as an artist, you got to be able to take that. And I think Eska is one of the people that inspired me, because she could take that. But then that, for me, was music athletics. Do you know what I mean? Music athletics comes with us all. I think secretly we all want to be bigger, badder and better. But I've learned over the years that bigger... Watch out now! Alright, big up yourself! Walk one! But see, now this, right, straight away, no matter how sophisticated things got, Victim for me is a great tune, because it didn't consider sophistication. It didn't consider anything other than a good time and a strong vocal. And that happens sometimes. Like Feel the Rush was like crafting, thinking, sorting it out, getting your kung fu on, and you know. But Victim was like, it's just, man, whatever comes, just let it come. And they both have equal value. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah, so this is Cone. So Crazy Breed was also Cone and me in the studio doing Victim. So yeah, that's good. Is it creative? Cone. Creative noise electric. Created something noise electric, but he changed the electric to something else. But it's creative something noise electric. Yeah, that was me making up some shit. But that's another thing as well, you see. I think over the time, by the time I got to recording Victim, I was starting to find a great sense of freedom because I'd been working. I mean, the amount of songs that I've actually recorded, we haven't heard yet, you know, in terms of on the vocals. We've heard some of the hitters, you know, but there's a lot of songs that I've recorded that we haven't heard.
But by this point, you're not tied to a label. You're just doing what you want. You can make music as freely as you want.
Yeah.
Have a bit of fun.
Some people think that happens to an artist because he chooses. Very rarely do I meet artists who choose, you know, to be that free. I think you end up. And let me be honest, because it needs to be honest.
Yeah.
We and artists like myself end up recording, you know, volumes of music, diverse with different types of people, largely because we're trying whatever we can, we're responding to whatever we can. We're making a living. So people, if you're good enough, they want to hear you sing and perform and write songs. They've got a compilation. It's a bit like being an actor who you know, you see him in like an epic role like Troy. You know what I mean? Then you see him in this little dodgy like interview film. You know, the budget was probably about £5,000. You know, it's like but actors got to work. You know, and as an artist. I have to work, so sometimes they've been thought about projects that have gone out there and they've been pursued and they've been developed and they've had a lot of discipline and love put into them and a lot of money. And sometimes they're, you know, I'm an artist getting paid doing something I love doing. You know, and I don't want to lie about that because, you know, one, it's pretentious, and two, it's misleading for people who really are digging what you're doing. But having said that, some of the sessions that I've done that were just either to be paid or just to survive actually ended up being some of the best, you know, sessions that I've ever done. You know, like Victim is one of the most enjoyed songs, you know, and it quite possibly paid me the less. You know, there's a lot of music I've done that's paid me a hell of a lot more. You know,
it's the beauty of art, isn't it? Music is one of those things where it's completely subjective to whoever's listening to it at the time.
Yeah, and people like yourself get the privilege to say that because, you know, for us, we see it as a living. You know, we're always trying to be paid.
That's it. You know, the consumer can pick and choose what they want. Where you're making it, you want to make as much money as you can every time. You know, but the main thing is that you're enjoying what you're doing while you're doing it as well. And you know,
why I said to Byron earlier, you know, it's beautiful to share with you and see how you feel about what people are doing. I mean, I don't know what you do. I'm sure I could be in awe of something you're doing that makes me go, man, that's the stuff that I would love to do. I've been for the past couple of years pursuing a career in acting. You know, that's something that I've always wanted to do as a singer. I've always wanted to get into acting and into film, and that has started to happen. I'm not going to say too much about it, you know, because there's some beautiful things happening. But having said that, you know, it's
you heard it here first.
Absolutely. But the thing is, it's because it's something that I'm fascinated by enough so to want to be a part of it, you know. And I think when you read what you're doing through the eyes and ears of other people, it's a nice surprise to see what comes back, you know.
A lot of the music I've heard from you the last few years really has been all through Tokyo Dawn. Just tell me a bit about that relationship with the guys from there.
Tokyo Dawn Records were the label that put out Keep Walking back in 2011, and we forged a relationship then. They were kind of coming back from, because originally they were Dirty Soul Claps, you know that, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, and they kind of took a break after a while, and then so Tokyo Dawn Records was their comeback into, you know, the arena, because they wanted to put music out again, but obviously they were faced with the whole digital revolution, and although they're very keen and they're very clear about wanting to put only digital music out, but they come after me because they was fans of Colonel Red and they wanted to put a Colonel Red album out, and that's when we got to know each other, and I was going through a different experience then because I wanted to become more organic. I wanted to become more of a jazz musician and get away from some of the electro. Yeah. I just wanted to get away. It wasn't the tempo was important, but you know, I mean, we've got actually we've got Systematic Mathematic is off the Keep Walking album. If you want to drop that, it might be good at this point. This is typical of me trying to get closer to songwriting, music, playing instruments, getting more organic again. Plus, I'd been living in Holland for a while, and I was becoming more and more of a live musician and aspiring to other live musicians. So it felt a natural next step to kind of become more... that's running slow, isn't it? That's better. So
rewind that.
And so anyway, that was the birth of Tokyo Dawn Records and Colonel Red. But then we had 5 years of... I had my introduction to them was actually through Soul Parlour.
I was just going to say, you've done quite a few bits with Tokyo Dawn, but with Soul Parlour.
Well, I on my travels, I performed at their Black Cat club in Germany, and while I was there, they asked me to record some songs, and me being the quick writer that I am, I recorded 2 songs, you know, went for dinner. Then they hit me up months later. We did the gig, and they hit me up months later. Yeah, you know those 2 songs, but they're actually on this Tokyo Dawn compilation album. I was like, oh, cool. That happens to me all the time because I'm always writing wherever I go. I never just do a gig. I end up doing a writing session in the studio, stay on someone's sofa, or stay in the hotel, end up with lyrics, back in the studio next morning. And it's as if they go, oh, Reds is in town, let's squeeze him for everything he's got. Right,
well,
get him to sing, and then put him back on the plane. But you know what, that's fun to me, as much as I got serious about that over the years, but that's kind of how the Tokyo Dawn got started. Soul Parlour made the introduction. They were fans of Colonel Red, and then they wanted to do the next album, and I was looking for a label to put that album out on, so it was perfect timing. What happened after that, though, was the following year I moved out to Montreal, where, together with my people who I started to put my label with, I decided to change the game, really, and decided to pull the plug on doing so much work, mass volumes of work for everybody and everyone.
Yeah.
And although my relationship with Tokyo Dawn continued a little, it starts to thin out because I was becoming a bit more concerned with Colonel Red as a writer and as a producer in his own right, rather than just prostituting everything I create for the benefits of others.
On other people's
and I needed time to learn about what that meant to me, and I was building my own label, so I kind of pulled back. I still had a good relationship with Mark of Tokyo Dawn, and understood, you know, we was doing a few bits and pieces, but I was pulling back until the recent year. we got into talking again, and we started to say, look, you know what I mean? Why don't we pick up where we left off? And
that was where Wireless Soldiers came in.
and Wireless Soldiers was a product of conversations I had with Mark, talking about the idea of putting out. Well, see, the thing is as well, I believe that Tokyo Dawn, in that period between 2011 right up until 2016, I think they've been growing and changing and growing. And I can tell because the conversations I was having with them back in 2011 are not like the conversations I'm having now. You know, they seem very, very far more experienced, far more together, far more understanding. Plus, their reach has grown dramatically. They've really got quite a big reach now, and so we're now getting together to. We made Wireless Soldiers, which has been exciting for us, and we've had incredible feedback. We're waking up the world with this EP, and we're already, right as we speak, in the middle of putting the next EP together that is due to come out end December, January, and that's an EP called Rhyme Travelling.
Exciting.
And so what's becoming exciting is that, and what I really enjoy about Tokyo Dawn Records is that they, you know, in a really weird way, they challenge me as an artist. You know, that wasn't happening before, but now it is. But you see, they've embraced my new expression, you know, and that's largely what, because everything that you're hearing, like this is, I think this is a stand-up off the Wireless Soldiers album. I don't know if you want to pump it.
So this came out just last week or two, is it?
No, this
Not even out just yet.
this came out on the Wireless Soldiers album. I think it was in June.
July.
Yeah.
Fairly recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, very recent.
Yeah.
And this is like this is the sound of Colonel Red, really. My own funk and soul and blues and rock, you know, which is what I'm about, really. So.
Definitely, yeah. You can hear all the different influences in this. I've heard this too a few times. We'll put the links up afterwards for the links to Tokyo Dawn where you can go and buy it and everything.
Yeah. So the relationship with Tokyo Dawn Records is largely because they're a great label for trying to bring something new. They're not trying to stay with house, broken. They're not trying to fuck things up. They're actually trying to find their niche and say, look, this is where music lovers who love to dance but also love to groove, who love songs, who love hip hop, who love jazz, who love all the flavours, can celebrate and get into it. And that's what I'm loving about Tokyo Dawn, because I've realised through my own experience over the last several years, that's what Colonel Red is. I find it very difficult, even myself, to pigeonhole where I belong. I think if I listen to this now, this sounds like me in the studio. I'm making the music that I love, you know, and I'm singing my heart out. I'm talking about things that mean something to me and to the world I'm living in, and very much tailored to my character, you know, and I like that. And I'm very close to the idea of what is filmic in music, something that takes you a little bit away from the norm and then drops you on your feet, you know, rather than on your ass. So
I've been following Tokyo Dawn for a few years, and it's you know, people I've been following over the years have all passed through Opolopo and Blacktronics and Soul Parlour.
Very talented.
There's some
artists.
really talented people going through there.
Yeah.
You know, yourself included.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
These, I mean, Opolopo is another guy, you know, who's incredible musically. He's like a wizard, you know. But I also found with Opolopo, you know, he spent his time with Tokyo Dawn, but then I've noticed he spent a bit of time away from Tokyo Dawn.
He's like with Joey Negro now, isn't he? That Z Records sort of stuff.
Okay, because he's finding that, you know, like myself and like many others, they find that, you know, they have to be in charge of their own surprises. But sometimes what I do enjoy about Tokyo Dawn Records is that they because of the they're a feedback based band, you know. They'll put something out there, they'll put something out there, and depending upon what comes back is how they'll respond to putting music out, and they're learning from their own experiences, and by putting music out, some labels just have a preset and then put it out and that's it. and I'm sure Tokyo Dawn have that too. But from what my experience with them right now is that we're excited about what we're putting out. We're loving the feedback we're getting, and we kind of know that what we're doing is not necessarily sitting comfortably anyway. And I like something that's groundbreaking, and I think we're doing that with what we're doing there.
Definitely, I think so.
You know? Yeah.
I'm quite conscious of the time a little bit. So, is there any of the particular tracks that you brought along with you that you haven't
Well,
played
you're
yet?
playing
that you
them.
wanna
I
take?
mean, there is what can you name anything out there that we haven't touched? Because we did. Space Face is an interesting tune. I think it's worth plugging. How much time have you got?
I think we're here till 12. What time are we at now? We've got a little while. I think the boys want to have a little mix as well. And
Yeah, you want to do your thing as well.
this,
Well, it depends on your instrumental. If your instrumental touches the spots that Heineken reaches, then then I'm willing. I refuse to sing to something that does not touch me. So if you are not touching me, then that's your own fault.
where was this track from?
And then this is another cone. I did this with a cone, this tune, and it originally was on the Crazy Breed album. Ironically, my lady friend at the time, I just finished writing the song, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I decided to sing it, and she decides to video it while I'm singing in the house, you know what I mean, getting crazy and buck wild. So we ended up using this footage as a part of the video, but it inspired a lot of good feeling out there, and Apollo Records happened to pick up on it.
Nice stuff.
And they picked up on it and wanted to make it a feature for them. And Apollo Records, I don't know if you know it, they've been a label that's been heavily into ambient music. They're quite an alternative label. They are actually R&S. I don't know if you know R&S. But Apollo was the splinter label that they had that was based out in New York for a while, and they've revived it. So there's all these labels that are reviving their labels, and they're thinking about Colonel Red to, you know, revive too. So basically, the guy who runs Apollo, who's based out of Belgium, got in touch with me and said, "We really want to put this out. We want to do an album." We didn't get as far as the full album because we had different ideas about where we were going, but we did manage to put this out and get some noise for it. You know, it's good.
Cool.
It's a bit like one of those midnight sessions where you know that, you know, you're either doing something great or doing something terrible, and we were just fortunate enough to have done something great with this. So I mean, that's countless amount of hours in studios till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, no matter what street it is in what country, I've been walking along the streets at 5, 6 in the morning from a studio, you know, recording all night. And some people smoke weed and drink and have a party, but I've always been in studios, you know. Yeah.
That's your night out. That's your good time.
That's my good time.
Yeah. Fair play. What we got next, boys?
Oh, wow. You dig this one up, innit? This is another Daz IQ lick, yeah? Remember segue?
Having a ball, girl. Me close to diamond rings.
another one of them songs where Bembe and I have, because we've performed a lot together live in different countries, but we never actually was in the studio at the same time. A lot of the songs that I've done with some of these cats, I only know who come on to the song to put something down after I've been home long time, you know, weeks later.
Who was first then? Did you do your bit
I was first
or?
on this, and then Bemba got brought in afterwards. Yeah. I think I couldn't swear to that. Actually.
I think Daz is one of those people as well, isn't he? He's got that many reaches across that many different artists and genres. It's
See,
a really unique sound. You know?
Daz is well, I always knew there was something to Daz that was very special because he was one of the few cats. He was with Bugs in the Attic, and he was also with Uprock Crew, which was like the old jazz refresh thing. He was already sort of always in demand because he had such a great character and personality. And you love Daz when you work with him and you hang with him because he's just a big brother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oi, 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 oi! Now this, you gotta reload that shit, man. You can't make that come like that. Oh, come with it again, Rasta. Bring it.
I think we might need to stand up soon. Get the mic up.
Well, you know what's gotta drop after this? You got Tim Landslide, yeah? You got a Tim Landslide. Well, no, you see this version? Big shout out to Bruce Q, because I couldn't find this tune anywhere. I've even been in contact with Tim, and he has not responded. I'm sure I'm talking to the wrong email. But so I had to go to the Oracle, and the only Oracle for me was Bruce. And I says, because Quai's been asking me for this Tin Landslide tune from time, man. And I'm like, Quai, I'm really sorry, I just ain't got it. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that your own music. Yeah, I've already had to buy this tune. I had to buy. You know what I mean? Because I haven't got it. You know, that's another story. But this Tin Landslide tune was like, I said, I just hit Bruce up and says, look, you got the Tin Landslide. Before I even opened up the message, it's like, we transfer. He's giving me the download. So big shout out, Bruce. Thanks a lot, man. Love ya. Easy.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright.
You know this tune, yeah?
Yeah.
Got no cheers, I smile up, I drink love.
I mean, because I've seen you at the co-op dances, I've seen you walk everywhere, man. Do you know what I mean? You've been
Just one
rocking
of
on
those
this scene for a long time.
Lurking around, yeah. I think you came down when I was playing August with Alex Quincy. I don't know if you're there, right?
It's going back now, isn't it?
You're not here to interview me, so you know I could tell you a little bit. I've been around for a while, yeah.
Okay.
Mainly, you know, mixes online that people listen to and
Okay.
download and that sort of
You
stuff.
have to hit me up.
Definitely. Your DJ's favourite DJ.
DJ's favourite DJ.
Feel that flame, further Jew, block that bleed, never do. That ain't right, no. So say I switch on, I'm gonna keep the pressure on. That's alright. Open eyes to your smile.
So, Quai, you get a copy of this, bro. Because you've been after this, yeah? See, I didn't
Turn
even
up a bit, man.
Yeah, you can turn this up, you know, bro. experience was a good experience, you know. Like many great things, it had to come to an end. But yeah, I can't get this.
What was the whole concept behind the Flow Riders movement, sort of thing?
The Flow Riders concept was, again, he was another guy. Vincent's an incredible pianist, and he's a great producer as well. The concept was really about him being Flow Riders and him just inviting guests and musicians on board to perform. And over the years, his lineup, he's a notorious for axing musicians. But I think I stayed with him for quite a while. But he kept on coming back for me because I think, to be fair, as much as I worked with him, I always retained my own identity and did my own thing. But he enjoyed, the crowds enjoyed Flow Riders when Conrad was the featured singer.
Definitely.
And then Richard Spaven come on board, the drummer, and kind of switched it up to that next level. And yeah, we had some fun, you know. But that all kind of died around 2010. So we was going from around. Funny enough, I put together a thing called Miles Benjamin. And Miles Benjamin is Dalgui, you know, the guys that did All Right, It Will Be All Right. Well, I did that with Dalgui. Well, while we was recording It's Gonna Be All Right, we started to put what we felt was a band together that was called Miles Benjamin, that consisted of Vincent Helbers, which is Flow Riders, Dalgui, Gert, who is Dalgui, and Paolo, who is the other member of Miles Benjamin. And we put a Miles Benjamin together called Feels Glorious, and that come out on True Thoughts in 2008. And it had a few big hits on there, like Chop That Wood and a few others. It was very much the kind of, actually, when you listen to what Tokyo Dawn Records are doing now, Miles Benjamin was doing back in 2008. So to be fair, I mean, you know, Gert and myself, we was kind of ahead of our time with that album.
A major thing in common as well, because you're on both.
Sorry?
A major thing in common as well, because you're on both, aren't you? Like that spread through it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I mean, I feel fortunate to have. I look at singers like there's a few singers. Being in Holland taught me a lot about being around people who love music. You know, you when you perform in Holland, these people come to the front and they sing the shit out of your songs. You know, which tells you that they're listening. You know. Yeah. And that's been quite important for me, because it's put me in touch with how to write songs and don't switch off that people are genuinely taking them in. But you see, when you're trying to bring something new, a great song might suffer, you know, so you've got to make it about the song. I think that's one of the things that's worked against the Broken thing for me, is there's been great sounds, great tracks, great beats, great, you know, overwhelming, you know, sets and DJs and so on, great voices even, but there's not been great songs. I don't believe the songs have really gone in, you know. I think that's been something that's been a major drawback with Broken music. I think if there would have been more focus on, and not to say that they're not good songs and songs that you can sing along with here and there, but let's face it, you know, the whole Broken relationship with the audience is about getting everybody dancing and getting everybody lifted, you know, isn't it? Yeah. And but very rarely you're gonna stop the music and listen to everybody singing along. You know, you go to any other gig and you know, you hear a tune bouncing. Now and again on a Broken set, you stop the tune and everyone's singing. Yeah, you know, but more often than not, you know, especially where Broken's going to now, it's more of a beats led genre.
The key is the music a lot of the time.
Absolutely, the beat and how many colours. Like this tune. It's that zany, like autistic twitch. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I think in fact I actually think that, you know, the Broken scene is full of autistic people who I believe that, but in a very warm and beautiful way, you know, because, like, you know, we're learning that autism and the spectrum that we're on is actually quite close to people, you know, in general.
I hear what you're saying about the music, though. I mean, we're probably
What?
the exceptions because we love that music, and the people that are watching this are probably also the sort of people that would listen to it in the house and in their car as well as in the club. But for most people, it's not the sort of music you would generally stick on just to chill out to on a Sunday afternoon. It's
or just
it's
sing
the club
along
atmosphere,
to.
is it? You know,
It doesn't. I don't think it has the same nostalgia unless you arrive at a co-op gig, and then everybody remembers the great time they had 5 years ago, you know, and then you get nostalgic about it, you know. But I think for me, that's why I said earlier that I think Broken has become something that belongs to everyone rather than, you know, Broken being a scene of itself, you know.
I think watch his space because like with the new artists coming up now, there's like a lot of talented people that are making this music, pushing it in a direction now. So I think it's going to be surprising in the next few years.
That might be because it's slowly but surely leaving the shores of Broken. That's why. Do you know what I mean? The feeling I get is that in order for Broken to keep on coming at us and to keep winning, it's had to make some adjustments, you know.
That's the same with everything, though. Everything in life.
And I'm not disputing it. That's why I say that I think Broken has become a part of everything else rather than. There was a time when, if we're talking about Broken music, you know, you could literally put a sticker and say, right, it's Broken music, and you knew exactly from the beginning to end. You knew what you was getting. Now it's diversifying, and I think you're right.
That's a good thing because, like, say, like with your career now. You know, you might have started off in one place and you've gone through all these different places, but they've all made you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's colour red, you know what I mean? Like, so the name came from Broken as well, so in a way, you know. So. Yeah,
well, actually not. To be honest, the irony is that I created Colonel Red from. Actually, I took him from a book about the Cimarroons.
Serious?
And he was a made-up character, a Cimarron soldier who kind of broke away from the norm and became his own person. He came washed up, and he kind of come back and fed himself back to life.
I like that.
But you see, where there's truth to it is that the Broken scene was the first place. It's almost like that's the first village that I hit. That give me water, that give me food, that give me shelter, that help me and back on my feet. And in that sense, Broken has been the home where I became a family to. You know, most of the people that I met and worked with on the Broken scene for many years, you know, we that was a love affair. You know, and I'm not going to deny that. You know, we all got very close. We've done some beautiful things and continued to. For many years, and are still close now. So when I have an opinion with regards to what Broken has become, it's an entitled opinion.
Of course,
because I'm not saying I was a pioneer of that scene, but what I can say is that I became a part of helping it to become great. You know, and especially from a vocalist point of view, because for the very purpose I said earlier, I always felt that I was someone who could bring melody to the music, you know,
which accentuated it,
and that helps it have a voice. And I named Vanessa Freeman and Eska in the same breath, you know. And there's a lot more. There used to be a guy named I'm remembering more, or I'm forgetting more than I remember. But Jeremy Ellis.
Oh, he's from America. Yeah. Iro. Yeah.
This guy was incredible. I mean, he actually performed here in Birmingham once, and he just had his like machinery and stuff. And this guy's like, he sings like he's got scatting power like Stevie Wonder, and he plays his instruments. And I'm like, shit, how the are you like playing and singing? But you see, this scene has showcased so much talented people. I just don't want to ever get confused about talent versus writing great songs, because there's a lot of great talented people, but if they're writing great songs or not, I'm not so sure. I think you know, we've got some great talents making music, but writing a song and understanding what the rudiments of a great song is, and then, you know, being a great voice doing it is. That's the fight. I think many singers have had, and I've had, you know.
Touching on that as well, with just like your whole travel routine, like, because I know you're always, we've seen you about for now, it's been years, and you're always traveling here, always traveling there. How do you manage to write songs and do all that, perform? Where do you get time? Like, even for you know, your friends and.
I mean, you would know. I mean, yeah, of course, when you're with your family and you're spending time, that's the time when you genuinely switch off. You know, I switch off when I spend time with my family. But when you talk about traveling, in some ways, those are the best times to write, because how many hours can you spend at an airport?
Yeah.
How many hours can you spend in sound check or waiting to be at the gig? Or, you know, often I got a gig where the flight was booked the night before, and I've got, like, you know, 12 hours in a hotel room. You know, those are the times where, you know, if you've picked up a piece of music to write to, those are the best times. When I was in Holland, I wrote some of my best songs while waiting for a tram. It's true, because you're in that void where there's a space and you think, well, what can I do now? You know, and that's when you know. Maybe
that's the key to why you lasted so long as well, because like some artists or some people, whoever, they'd fill it with something else.
Yeah.
They'd get lost in that. But if you get lost in the music, that's why you're still doing it. Still kicking it. Every time, man. Every time. Man.
But, you know, the truth of the matter is, to be fair, is I think that you write music or you make music because you love music and it loves you. And I haven't stopped having a relationship, a passionate affair with music. I'm still a sucker for an incredible bass line or a beautiful Rhodes chord that just touches the spot. And originally, I love to dance, man. You see, for me, you see, this is bringing me to the plug, right? Bringing me to the new EP coming. It's entitled Rhyme Traveling, and it's rhyme traveling for the very reason what we've just been speaking about. You know, it's my first and foremost passionate love affair is with hearing music or feeling a compelling need to write lyrics, write melodies, and get lifted. And I still feel the same as when I was in my teens, where I heard a piece of music and I just, like, as soon as I'm hearing it, I'm in. And as long as it's right, you know. Or sometimes it's not even that I hear something. Sometimes I just want to hear something, and if I can hear something that in my head, like I'd done earlier, and I hear a beat and I go, you know what, I could just get lifted with that. And that's I think the energy that we all kind of want to make music with, or we all want to do anything with, you know. That's what makes us want to go out. What makes you want to go out, you know? What makes you want to go to the gym and look good, you know? It's that drive to feel special, you know. And for me, rhyming and making music and singing is about getting my special on, you know.
Have we got a copy of that yesterday?
What's that now?
I don't think we've got the brand new one, have we? The Rhyme Travelling. You got any tracks off that?
Oh, right. No, I haven't put anything on there because
we've got the Wireless Soldiers, which is the one that's out now.
I'll be in trouble probably. I don't know. But the Wireless Soldiers has got tracks on there. If there's anything you want to play off there, actually play Wireless Soldiers itself. The track. I don't know if you did play Wireless Soldiers itself. The track is quite a rough tune, you know.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So we gotta drop some stuff off that every time.
Yes, sir.
Every time.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your time as well.
No, man, it's a I really feel like we ain't even been doing anything other than just hanging out, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering where the dumpling is, man.
Yeah, we go for that later. Definitely. You're not just a musician as well. So a lot of people don't know, you know, stuff about you, know what you do.
Yeah, man. I mean, in terms of what you mean, like
professional life as well. Like you got.
Yeah, I mean, well, my professional life is music, but I mean, running my label, I run a label called Increbellion. That's my that is the heart of the matter.
Tune.
People chosen.
What's his title track about?
Wireless Soldiers is actually about, as artists, we're the people who need to go out and connect the dots and make the difference, you know. We're soldiers but we're unhooked. Because most soldiers out there have got a directive. They've been given a directive by, it's very socially conscious. They've been given some kind of directive, some kind of reason. They've been sworn to patriotism. But the patriotism of the artist is to stay true to his heart, and follow what he believes is something righteous and something, giving and caring. For that people can benefit from, I'm a believer in giving to each other the love and the encouragement to be the best we can. Wireless Soldiers is commenting on how we need to never stop reaching each other with, inspiration and touch the magic that it takes to really appreciate living, because I think that keeps you correct, it's and Wireless Soldiers is commenting on this point.
Awesome. Well, I can see Quai's itching to get on with a little bit of mixing.
Go on, Quai, man. Hey, Quai's a Wireless Soldier boy.
Quai's
Totally unhooked.
I don't know what everyone thinks about this new format. I don't think it's something we're going to do all the time. It's just we've got Reds in town. We've got to make the most of it, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to him chatting to us. We've got about just under an hour left, I think, so we're going to get in the mix a bit.
Well, what's the thing you do with yourself next time?
Tell us a bit more. What's coming up?
I've got a few things coming up, but to be honest with you, I want to wait till they're confirmed. We've got the new album coming called, like I said, Rhymes Travelling. I've got dates looking like they're cropping up in North America with a guy named Andy Williams. Andy Williams actually is a guy from Nottingham who's settled out in Montreal, Toronto, and is doing some incredible things for music. Very conscious brother.
Nice.
There's another guy named Lexis, and these guys are putting a lot of seminars together, a lot of music shows and events. And music is my sanctuary, yeah. Well, this guy Lexis, he got me out and a few others out in Montreal doing a lot of stuff a few years ago. And him together with this guy named Andy Williams, now they're putting tours together that are taking us to New York. So I'm going to be connecting with these guys at some point when I'm out there and kick it up and
make your magic happen every time.
Well, the thing is, right, that is unexplored man.
You must release it.
This is Alex Satie, isn't it? Well, Freedom Sounds is Alex Satie as an RG Culture, you know that, yeah? That's their moniker.
Yeah, all the time, man.
Hey, man, yeah. I thought, you know what, Quite, you're good, man, because I was thinking, man, I know this tune, but it's like annoying the fuck out of me.
Then your voice comes on and you're like...
Then I realise you shit, yeah. How was that me? Do you know what I mean? But
Take my love back, take my love, take it back, take the time out, take my love, take it back, take my
yeah, so what we got going on is there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but I've been such a studio rat for the past several months that I'm trying to close everything down. All I deal with is my label, the collaborations. I've got a lot of stuff coming out, but again, it's yeah, I don't want to say anything until it actually comes out, because
you're always welcome back here, if you're ever going to come down and see us again and tell us about what's happening next.
Yeah, man.
Feel free.
If these guys have got a beat, I'm not averse to having a little jam and seeing what's going on. I'm gonna. Have you got a washroom?
Down the end of this corridor.
Can I get back in here?
Check it out. Check one. check 2. Check 1. Check 2. Check 1, check 2. Oh yes, for the Colonel Reds to the choir. I'm sure Red's gonna drop some lyrical stylings for us. But in the meantime, this one.
Great side. Like my criticize life with juices I like it. Make it alright, then so make your foray, keep moving up forward. Take your time, life is, life is. Big man tune. Like that, like that. Mr. Choir on the decks, my man Byron. Wagwan people, this is Colonel Red coming at you live and large. What's going on in all the people out there? Big love to each and every one tuning in right now. Facebook Live, big up. Studio massive. Once again, for all yous like tuning in right now, this is Rogue Soul featuring a man like Colonel Red. October 2, what's going on in?
Fire right there. Put it up. Quiet on the decks. Nobody get vexed. Hey, hey. Will it make some blend? Oh yes, red every time. Red is the red is the color. Hey. Oh yes, bring it down, bring it in, bring it on. Easy.
Rogue number one. What's going in? In the mix with the man called Lord Byron. Bringing it broken hard on a man like Colonel Red. Rich, bad and heavy. What's going in? Just like that. Thing, innit? Alright, love up in the place. What's going on, people? Strictly rockers. The Birmingham thing. Pure rhythms up in the place. You're listening to the sound of Rogue Soul. Man like Colonel Red, Lord by. Pure man tune. Bring the feminine tune them. You understand? Lord Byron bringing you the man tune them. out there, you're tuning into the one and only, the man called DJ Kent. Never heard that name before. Never heard a name even like it. Nice and strong.
upset, yo. It looked about 102. It's Saturday and Biggie ain't got nothing to do. I'm interrupted by the phone ring. Sometimes I wish I never got the motherfucking thing. Hello, hello, can I speak to Biggie? Yo, who this? Tanisha, your call back, I'm busy. Why don't you hit me on the box a little later? Washed up, got dressed, hits the elevator. Step out, it's the same old scene. Dope fiend, crack fiend, I witness new scene. I seen the honey with the butt looking butter soft. I know she look better with the clothes up on. Sitting all thick with the ruby red lipstick. That's the one I got to get with. Can I get with ya? 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 Why you wanna get with me? Cause they got a big B-U-T-T-C. Can I get with ya? 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 Why you wanna get with me? Cause you got a big B-U-T-T. She said if I get with you, I got to get with your whole hood rap crew. What you think I do? Sling skin for a living? My name ain't November. This ain't Thanksgiving. You ain't Michael Bivins. Back it up, flip it, rub it down. Do me, baby, I ain't down. My name ain't Tupac, I don't get around. You hitting this nigga, how that sound? First of all, you got me mixed up with somebody you done slept with. Hold up, that's money to cherry shit. I got something slicker. Let me just sip up on this liquor. All I wanna do is smoke a little chronic, slam you like Onyx, and get your hooked on this Biggie Smoke Phonics. Can I get with ya? 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 Cause you got a big B-U-T-T-C. Can I get with ya? 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 Why you wanna get with me? Cause you got a big B-U-T-T. I said, walk me upstairs, cause I forgot my Philly. She said, I don't care, just don't be acting silly. I knew I had a track with my hardcore rap. And it wouldn't take a second before I had her on her back, pulling with the front strap. Threw on my silk CD, cause I wanna get freaky with you. Lose control on the skins is all like a picture. Now I'm about to hit ya. Can I get with ya? Now, can I get with ya? Why you wanna get with me? Cause I gotta make you get up. Hey, can I get with ya? Can I get with ya? Hey, can I get with ya?
This is the first time first time I see you. It's the first time I heard of you. Ever I saw your face. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's the turn of the tide that I can't help my mind find its way over. But I see many, yeah.
Strictly freestyle, and a man like Colonel Red in the mix with my man Byron. Making it up as we go along. Rogue Soul Session. What's going on, people out there? Yeah, reload this one. It's nice.
Na 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 sit up, nice it up, get it up, get it up, get it up, love it up, set it up, set it up. I'm gonna make it up. All alive I've been saying that you make it up. So as a night miss me, I'm a autumn midnight timing. Take that timing over me, Roger. Hey, hey, hey. See that you break it up, make it up, take it up, time it up, love it up, solve it up, line it up, cry it up, make it up, wind it up, take your over me, take your over me. Wind it up, take it up, take my break it up. Brighten it up, won't break it up, save it up, and like it up, and something will make it up. You stay saying that, make it up. You keep saying that I was wrong for you, but I know you're wrong for me. Wind it up, break it up, love it up, love it up, love it up, love it up, me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, wind it up, break it up, love it up, loving up my bones. Take it softly. Make it up, break it up, love it up, take it up, shake it up, make it up, take it nicely. Make it up, make it up, make it only love. Stand alone. Changing it around. Nice. Kick, thumb, foot, rock.
Alright, I need my like vocal kung fu on for this guy, man. Pure nastiness.
Stand that there. You love you say that your name at home. What your name is gonna be the same every time I love her. Oh, saying that, bring that, love is all on. Bring that idea. What to say that lay might be folding, holding, got to get cold and it's cold and hot and freezing out there.
make that Mondays, make that Fridays. Hey, hey, it's my love, baby. Saturday, make my say, make up, but you're afraid. You're frail in the mind and you stay inside of your satin lazy. Oh, my days and nights, my maiden life, so that's a lie. Alright, so my man Kent. Better, you come better. One of them tunes that I would just dance to. You know what I mean? Cause like you're trying to sing to this, man. This is like gorilla tuning. You know what I mean? You know what I mean when I say gorilla tune? You never know, did you? Gorilla tuning is like a gorilla. He's not trying to sing a song for you. He's singing a song for a next gorilla to get with him. Same side now. Could have done with a little bit of reverb on this microphone. Saturday going phone is going wrong. I can take this and everybody sounds like a day. Did your wife say that you're a difficult man? Gosh, go down in it, boy. This sounds like some 400 years shit. 400 years we've been down here. Gotta come back. Oh, got to make up. Taking my love. I get pain, but I get high off your loving, baby. I get high off your loving, baby. last one. Alright, I'm going to announce that this is the last one from Roll Soul. My man DJ Kids. You've been tuning into my man Kwai and Lord Byron. And the man like Colonel Red, it's been a real pleasure to be here.
Hey,
What's going on? Thank you for having me. Much love.
Yo, preaching the knowledge, spreading the love every time. Reds. Don't forget, we're getting the links in the description. Tokyo Dawn, Business, new album, Business.
Don't forget to check out the website www.colonelred.com.
It will be there, trust me. Every time, Reds. Love having you. Every time, thanks for coming. Ken's dropping those silky smooth beats. Kwai, Lord Byron. Don't forget Brook Up this coming Saturday. How we do?